There are stories that Hollywood would never touch. Too disturbing, too real, or too prophetic. Sci-fi movies have explored space, artificial intelligence, and dystopian futures. But there are books that even the biggest studios wouldn't dare adapt. Not because they can't, but because they shouldn't. Today, I'll show you 5 sci-fi books that are too dangerous for the big screen. Get ready to discover the stories that challenge power, the system, and even our own humanity. Let's start with the first book. The Puppet Masters, Robert A. Heinlein. In this story, humanity discovers that a race of alien parasites has been secretly controlling the world's leaders. Invisible, impossible to detect, they have manipulated Earth's destiny for centuries. But when a group of resistance fighters begins to uncover the truth, they realize that the battle for freedom will not be against an oppressive government, but against a force they didn't even know existed. Hollywood would hardly adapt it, because the idea that we're not in control of our destiny is too unsettling. Rite of Passage, Alexei Panshin. Young adult dystopias have been a hit in Hollywood, but this one is too real. Earth is no longer habitable, and humanity survives aboard massive starships. But only the strong are allowed to continue living. At 14, children are abandoned on hostile planets with no assistance, and if they survive, they're allowed back on board. It's brutal, merciless, and it raises questions Hollywood would rather avoid. Who decides who deserves to live? Should the weak be left behind? The Scarlet Plague, Jack London. This book was written in 1912, and it's almost prophetic. A virus wipes out humanity, destroying civilization in mere days. What remains is a primitive world where the few survivors have forgotten technology, education, even history. It's the end of the world, seen through the eyes of an old man who remembers what the past was like. Why would Hollywood never adapt it? Because we've already seen real pandemics, and the fear this book presents is too close to reality. The Demolished Man, Alfred Bester. Imagine a world where no one can commit a crime, because everyone can read your mind. In this story, the police use telepaths to prevent murders before they happen. But what if someone dares to challenge the system? This book was the true precursor to Minority Report, but much darker and more philosophical. Hollywood would never touch it because it questions what freedom really means, and how much of it we'd be willing to give up. The Space Merchants, Frederick Pohl and Cyril M. Kornbluth. Capitalism taken to the extreme. In this story, corporations don't just sell products. They sell lifestyles, emotions, and even the air you breathe. Advertising is more important than politics, and people can no longer tell the difference between reality and marketing campaigns. Why hasn't it been adapted? Because it would be too uncomfortable for the very film studios that thrive on selling you a fantasy. These are the stories Hollywood doesn't want you to see, because they are too real, too disturbing, or too dangerous for the comfort of the system. But you can read them. Which of these books shocked you the most? Do you know of any other story that's too dangerous for the big screen? Let me know in the comments. And if you want more content about sci-fi and the stories that challenge reality, subscribe and hit the notification bell. Links to buy these books are in the description. See you in the next video, if Hollywood doesn't censor us first.